Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today, and welcome to the ABCs of Gen Z, hosted by BuzzBack, in collaboration with Faith Popcorn's BrainReserve. During the presentation, all participants will be in a listen-only mode. We will have a short Q&A at the end of the presentation. You may submit questions at any time today by typing them through the chat box, located to the left of your screen. I would also like to add that we'll be showing a few videos during the presentation, so it's best if you listen to the webinar through your computer speakers. If you are listening over the phone, unfortunately you won't be able to hear the sound of the videos, but you can always turn your computer speakers up when the videos come on screen. Our speaker for today is Carol Fitzgerald, President and CEO of BuzzBack, with special guest Janet Sirotto, Managing Director of Trend Bank and Talent Bank at Faith Popcorn's BrainReserve. Carol, please go ahead.
Thanks, Melanie. Hi, everyone. We have a lot to cover today. So we're here to talk about Gen Z. So let's just go through a little bit of a structure of how we will go through this content. First, I'm just going to give you a little background about why Gen Z, a little bit about us in particular, and then we'll go through 8 truths about Gen Z, which I'll elaborate on a bit more, and then just some thoughts for you as we move forward. So first, why did we collaborate with Faith Popcorn's BrainReserve? Faith Popcorn's BrainReserve is a future-focused innovation agency, and they bring trend experts and global culture spotters to the table on behalf of many consumer brands as they look to innovate. At BuzzBack, we are also focused on innovation, and for this study have conducted primary research around Gen Z, which I'll go into in a little bit more detail. But what makes us different is our online projective techniques, our portfolio, which is highly interactive and ideally suited for these audiences. And so together with this research and the trend expert views from Faith Popcorn's BrainReserve, we will learn a little bit more about Gen Z and give you some thoughts going forward. So first, why are you here? Looking at the signups, I can tell some of the companies that are participating today are worried about Gen Z already. Some of you, maybe it's right around the corner. But certainly you're going to need to deal with how you talk up to them. And some of the old ways that we have communicated with Gen Z are not going to work anymore. And we'll learn a little bit more about that just by how they're wired and how they communicate and how they collaborate with each other. But importantly, as you look to build, extend, develop new brands, we want to help you do it and help you figure out how you come up with compelling ways to communicate to Gen Z. So first, the simplest way to describe Gen Z is that they're mobile only. So if you think about millennials as being mobile-centric and being digital natives, and even some Gen Xers are kind of borderline digital natives, Gen Z is mobile first. So let me give you an example of that. I actually have twins who are Gen Z, boy and girl, and I know Janet has a Zir. And a couple weekends ago, my daughter's college buddies came to visit, and we had, the college hugs. And the first thing she gave them after the hugs was our Wi-Fi password. And I just found that so enlightening and such a perfect example of what wires this group. And in fact, my daughter told me later that she knows her really good friends because she's already connected to their Wi-Fi when she goes to hang out with them. So just a little bit of thought around Gen Z and what keeps them together. So what are your ABCs? I'm not going to go through all of these in detail right now. You probably recognize text. Maybe you recognize some of the other acronyms on here and words on here. We are going to cover these in the presentation today, but these are some of the things that we use to characterize this segment. So as we look at the segment, here is some Pew data, actually, that shows that Gen Z, right behind millennials, are around a quarter of the population, and it's very similar in the UK. The UK population is obviously smaller, so it's about 16 million folks in Gen Z. But a lot of that is based on how you define it. And literally, I've read several articles on Gen Z, and the numbers are a bit all over the place. So I've seen it range from 60 to 80 million. Some folks say they're still being born and therefore, just coming of age, essentially. And so you'll look to see how you define that. These profiles actually come from an article in the New York Times where they tried to, paint a persona of a difference between Gen Z and millennials. And for our research, we decided to look at these two groups because many of our clients are focused on millennials, and now increasingly Gen Z becomes part of that, and we wanted to compare and contrast. So for the primary research for this study, we had about 200 Gen Z and 200 millennials in both the U.S. and U.K., and we'll share some of those results with you today. The U.K. results will be shown in gray. In most cases, there were a lot of similarities between the two groups, which we often see, but at least give you a few contrasts here and there. So now let's get into the 8 truths of Gen Z. Now, when we go into each of the truths, I would like to explain a little bit about how the content is structured. So first, we will talk about what the truth is. Second, we will describe some of the signals that kind of paint a picture of what this truth communicates. And then third, we will have what is called a tomorrow vision, and that's kind of a qualitative look forward about how you can think about this truth and how you can relate back to your strategy when it comes to communicating with Gen Z. We do have a lot of content, and I am not going to read all the bullets on all the slides. You're probably happy about that. But I will allow you to kind of take that away as I speak, and we will make a recorded version of the webinar available. We also, just as a reminder, have several videos, and I'm going to try to pause because yesterday I think I went too fast on the videos. I'll try to pause, so make sure your speakers are up so you can hear them, but they really help to illustrate some of the factors that we're talking about. So truth number 1. This group is anxious. They have, incredible anxiety, and they're looking for calmness. So what are the signals around that? They're beyond stress, and that's because they grew up with have and have-nots, lots of crisis, ISIS every day still, and Brexit most recently, but lots of things happening in the world that have caused them anxiety. You see some of the college stats below, but certainly this group worries about, the stress and the things that are happening around them and how they come of age during this time of crisis specifically. So here are some examples of ways that they try to overcome that. Well, as one, there are actually universities that are developing calmness programs or ways for them to relax and meditate. For example, Mindful NYU. Stanford actually has a program called Cultivating Compassion, and there are even things like kava bars that are emerging with botanicals that help them relax and de-stress. You may or may not be familiar with Mindful. This is a place where they can go and actually chill. So if you want to watch this video, you'll get a sense of what that is.
So let's just get right into it.
Do you like the term meditation, Jim?
I've never heard it before. Sure, why not?
Oh. But that's what you've created a space where people can come for meditation. Why do we need that? Can't you just do meditation anywhere?
You could. I mean, you could meditate in the middle of a department store, but you're not going to actually experience any sense of quiet, calm, any of the real benefits of meditation. So here at Mindful, we've got 30 and 45-minute drop-in classes all day long.
So the tomorrow vision around that first truth is looking for that Zen. And the forecast around that may be that it's enabled by biodata, or there are other ways, either via meditation or other kinds of access points or products or services that helps this group overcome some of the anxiety they have. Truth number 2, they'd rather be dead than lonely. In fact, loneliness looms really large. And we'll see the similarities here between millennials and Gen Z in a minute. In the UK, they also talk a bit about losing family and loved ones, which feeds right into that loneliness factor. Here we ask them what their biggest fears are, and what you see in these word clouds are that open-ended playback around loneliness and how overwhelming that is for them, which I'm sure contributes to the anxiety. I actually find that a little bit interesting and a bit of a dichotomy considering how connected this group is, but they're so stressed they don't want to meet face-to-face. So just a few stats to support that and support the isolation that they live. They spend as much as 9 hours in front of screens on a daily basis. Almost 80% of them have never met their friend in person. It's all online. And a lot of that may be driven by the fact that their parents grew up on cell phones, so they were connecting in different kinds of ways. So they look to connect virtually. So I'm going to show you another example of a video of a place where Gen Z can live in an anonymous space and connect and begin to have constant connectivity in a different way.
Hey gang, I'm Mia Woos, and this is Woozworld, with 20 million kid-created units, and new ones even as we speak. Looks like a new mall. Wow, the plane party's packed. Every day, Woozworld gets better and bigger. Be a top model. Woos Crews with new friends. Then invite them to your own store. You can check it out today and get 5,000 free beats to start creating. See you at Woozworld. Your world, your way. Get a parent's permission before going online.
So had you heard of Woozworld? You may or may not be familiar with Woozworld. You might be more familiar with some of the other communities like Minecraft, which has kind of global universality at this point. But they are looking to create their tribes and connect IRL in real life. And there are other ways that they can do that. Cosplay, for example, where they dress up in costumes as their favorite characters, or book figures specifically. Hackathons, ways for them to come together around technology in science fairs, etc. And even other kinds of communities that are around gender fluidity and ways for them to communicate. We Happy Trans is an interesting website you can check out and connect to. So what is the tomorrow vision here? They may embrace JOMO, or the joy of missing out, meaning that they may look for that, unplugging, that airplane mode, that way for them to disconnect and find peace and solitude and unmediated experience and in-person contact in different kinds of ways.